All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. Feel free to drop your name and where you're from, your institution you're with. We do have some client managers on the line, so that kind of helps them keep in touch with you. And it's Lydia, Travis, and Josh are here. So they'll be able to also answer any questions regarding the builder or the app specifically. And then I'm just going to share my screen, and then we're going to get started. All right. So if everyone can see this okay, I'm gonna minimize that. Okay, so thank you everyone so much for coming today. We are really excited to have Tracie Tumor on the line. She's the Senior Public Programs Coordinator with Walt Disney Family Museum. I think a lot of you guys have heard us talk about this for quite some time, as this is one of the apps that are on our new builder, so that's really exciting. And we think that you'll kind of get a really good visual today. We get a lot of questions about this one every single webinar, and kind of what they're doing, but also the look and feel of the app. So I think this will definitely give you some good insight, especially into accessibility. I have to recommend you guys, Tracie, on the accessibility. Oh, my light just went out. On the accessibility feature specifically, you guys have the ASL, you have the social story. It's really exciting to see how much accessibility can be compacted into one app, especially with the new builder. So I think that that's really going to be something that helps everyone out visually on what you guys can do with your apps. And also moving forward, there is some virtual offerings in here with COVID. So we do get a lot of questions about that as well. So I'm just going to run through really quickly just some screenshots like last time of the app. Like I said, this main focus of the app was actually enhancing accessibility. So you have the Audiodescribed tour for visually impaired, you have the ASL tour, you have the social story, and the social story is a very unique feature. I have not seen it on many apps. The social story is actually for people on the autism spectrum, so it just kind of gives you a visual and also walks people through what they can expect before they get to the museum or even when they are there, which is obviously really helpful. And also 11 different languages. So very, very, very great in terms of international visitors, people speaking other languages. This is one of those apps where I can't really think of anything accessibility-wise that it doesn't do. So really, really good tours in this one. And then you also have just regular gallery tours. And then I talk about it a lot if you're looking to create something really quick and fast. They have a top 10 tour, so top 10 things to see when you go to the museum, which is something that I really like if people are kind of trying to get a really quick visual of the museum really quickly, or maybe they don't have that much time, maybe it's just a quick pit stop, or maybe they just want to see the highlights. That's another really good one. And then virtual offerings since COVID. Once COVID hit, we did get, Tracie would contact us, you're like, well, can we do the virtual tours? And we had kind of figured out how to put that in the app. And I think how you guys put it in is really smart, because a lot of people, they do the Matterport and things like that. But like I've said before, those Matterport videos, they don't exactly help people in terms of learning about the institution. It just kind of walks you through it. So I think this one specifically is really great in terms of how you guys created that virtual tour. And then you also have regular, information, admission prices, directions, events, calendars, which I think is really displayed quite nicely in the app. So just to show a little bit of that. So here's some of these accessibility features and the languages. As you can see, it's just, they actually have an accessibility collection essentially. And then you have the Audiodescribed tour, ASL, and the social story. Like I said, these are really, really, really great for the accessibility features, but also just in making sure that you're an all-inclusive organization. Obviously that's really important today. And I think that the social story is such a cool idea. Very, very cool. And I've really never seen it done. So when I saw this app and I saw the social story, it really made me happy. And I really enjoyed actually kind of looking at it and kind of understanding, even for myself, what you can expect when you go to the museum. And I can also see how it would be incredibly helpful for people on the autism spectrum. So, if you are looking for another accessibility feature, that's something that's very, very, very easy and very simple to add. And I think that that is something that can enhance, obviously, any accessibility in the app that you have. So the gallery tour. So like we said, this is the new builder. So this is kind of going to give you a visual on, you have the main gallery, you have and then you kind of have the audio for that. So it kind of goes through each of the galleries, and then it has the audio, which is, you can obviously see displayed right here, Small Beginnings, which is also kind of nice because this specific audio, you can actually play it and go through the app. So that's a really nice feature that I found is I can kind of like look at what I want to listen to next, and it just kind of creates a nice fluid path in terms of that customer and that client and that museum journey. So the virtual offerings, like I said, when COVID happened, we were talking to Tracie before everyone came on. They are still unfortunately closed because they're in California. So these virtual offerings were incredibly important. I kind of recommend that everyone uses this app, both on and off site. I look through it all the time, and it actually is just kind of jam-packed with really great information. It is something that can be used both on and off site, but this virtual offering specifically is really, really, really helpful to people, because how they did their virtual tour is kind of how, oh, and my light went back on, is kind of how we have told people to do it. They actually have audio overlaying theirs, but they actually use photos. We've done that a lot. We've told people, if you are looking to create an actual virtual tour, you could overlay audio over photos, and that works really well. Or you could just do audio over video, where you kind of talk about the museum as you walk through it. So I suggest everyone kind of goes and looks at this app, and also kind of looks at that virtual tour as well, because I think that will give you an idea of how to create those. So general information, I really like this one because it has the calendar, it has admission prices, and then it also has transportation, directions, and how to get there. In this specifically, I like this because it actually doesn't really link out to the website. It's a link to the website, but you can actually still purchase the tickets and stuff through here without actually having to go to you know, Safari or an entirely different website. So that's another new thing that this builder does really nicely. I really like that. And obviously you can see down here, they also have membership information, which is always very important. So, okay, so that is all I'm going to show of the app, because I don't want to give any spoilers in terms of what Tracie's going to talk about either. So Tracie, I will stop screen sharing, and I will pass it over to you, just to kind of talk about the institution and a little bit about the ideas you guys had for this app. We do have the Q&A, so feel free to put any questions in there, and then we will go through those after.
Great. Yeah, so we are the Walt Disney Family Museum, and we were actually founded by Walt Disney's daughter, Diane, 11 years ago in October. And we have a collection that spans Walt Disney's lifetime specifically. So you walk through the museum starting at his birth, and you end at the end of his life. And we have lots of family heirlooms, of course, you know, things from the Disney studios, animation, a lot of great technology that they were using back then. So we really just take you through his life, both his personal and family life, and also his career, of course, at Disney. So that's a little bit about the institution. We're based in the Presidio in San Francisco, and we're in a historical building, which has its flaws in that we can't necessarily always make it very accessible, because there's a lot of rules around historical buildings and whatnot. The Presidio used to be a military base for many years. So we're in this big, beautiful building, but we can't always make it as accessible as we want to be. So we really saw an opportunity with the app to bring some more accessibility into museums. And generally in museums, there's been a big movement in the last few years to make museums a lot more accessible, because a lot of them are very lacking in that department. So that was really kind of where our idea for the app stemmed from. We had already worked with STQRY previously, actually before my time at the museum, doing just a basic audio tour. So we already had the STQRY app, but we really wanted our own WDFM app that we could use specifically to enhance accessibility, and of course to have the tours and whatnot on there as well. So since we had worked with them before, we reached out, and Glenn was more than willing to work with us again, which we were very thrilled about. So we started building the app really with accessibility in mind, and also with that, of course, is incorporating more languages, things like ASL. And Glenn recommended us to Q Media, which is a company that specializes in translations and accessibility for audio tours and museums and whatnot. So we worked really closely with them, and I have to give them so much credit because they really took it to the next level as far as helping us with adding translations. We had five languages prior to this recent update, and we added, I think, 6 more with ASL. So we got all these great new translations based on our previous audio guide that we had for several years before this update. And of course, they also helped us most significantly, I would say, with our Audiodescribed tour, which is probably the part of the app that I'm most excited about. And that is a tour that describes everything in the museum for someone who has blindness or low vision. So it takes you through the galleries, it integrates our regular audio guide, and it also describes each room to you. So it tells you, you know, how big the room is approximately, about how many steps it'll take to get across, any barriers that you might run into for safety reasons. And then it also describes key points within the galleries. So things that we really want to point out that are essential to Walt's story. So it might be a piece of animation that it describes to you. It might be an heirloom from Walt's life that it describes in detail. And it really, we wanted to make it so that someone who's blind could still enjoy our museum, which is, you know, at its core, it's a very visual experience. So we're really excited that we could incorporate this special tour so that people can enjoy something that's usually visual and still be able to experience it. So Stacia at Q Media really helped us put that whole thing together. They came out multiple times and really walked us through the whole process. I can't recommend them enough if you're looking to make an audio described tour like we are. And they also helped us with the ASL Tour, which is our audio guide just with someone with ASL on video reading the tour to you in ASL. So it's been really great to incorporate those features in particular. And then of course, we also really wanted to make it accessible for people with other disabilities, like people on the autism spectrum. And that's where the social story came in. And it's something that we had actually used previously. We have events, or we used to have events when we were open, called Family Access Day. And that was a day that we would invite people of all kinds of disabilities into the museum for a special hour before we open. So we would, so it's a time that they can enjoy the museum with low noise. We turn down the lights, we turn down the sound in some of the galleries and in our theater. We just make it very, more of a friendly experience for people with disabilities, particularly ones that can get overwhelmed easily by sound and noise and lights and things like that. And by having it open just to that group beforehand, it really just makes it a nicer experience for those families. So we had that social story from those events, and we really wanted to incorporate it into the app. And the social story really just prepares someone on the autism spectrum who might be easily overwhelmed for what they're going to experience. So it really takes you through the process of arriving at the museum. A guard is going to greet you and go through your bag. When you walk in the door, someone is going to ask for a ticket, things like that, both visually and with words. So it really walks you through the whole museum process so that you can prepare ahead of time and know what you can expect before you arrive. So I think those were some of the main highlights on the accessibility side and what we really wanted to incorporate in the app, and really just wanted to welcome as many people as we possibly can into the museum and not have them feel like they're restricted in any way.
I really, see, I did not know that you guys had those like set times where you like dim the lights and only, that's really, I mean, that's a great idea. But also with the social story in the app, it's like, I love it. I love that idea. I think that really, that amplifies accessibility times 10. So I really, that's just a great idea. I'm totally kind of shocked by that. That's awesome. So the one other question I had, because I know we get tons of questions about the virtual offerings, did you have a hand in like helping make that virtual video, or do you know how long the process kind of really took?
So I wasn't actually super involved with making the virtual tour. Again, that was something that we actually already had because we had been doing virtual tours with school groups that either are in other states and can't travel to the museum to do our usual field trips, or have funding that they can't get in time or whatnot. So we had already had this tour that we were giving virtually before the pandemic. So luckily we had a lot of it ready to go. But the team that does that is not my team. So I wasn't involved in the making of the video, but we definitely saw an opportunity to incorporate that for, you know, people that are missing being able to visit the museum. You know, we have a lot of people that come and visit us once a month and have been for years. We have very loyal members, or just people that have always wanted to experience the museum and might live far away or not be able to afford it, or, you know, all kinds of reasons. So it's really, the pandemic, is as terrible as it's been in so many ways, has shown us an opportunity to really reach people that we can't always reach. So the virtual tour has been really great for that. We can show our galleries to people across the world.
Yeah. Do you guys see a lot of school groups come through?
We do, yeah. It's one of our biggest things that we do at the museum. We sell them out almost every semester. So we do school groups every single day during the week. And they incorporate usually an hour-long tour, and that's themed around the workshop that follows it. So we have one that's on technical innovations that teaches you about all the tech that the Disney company used back in the day, and how we can incorporate that into art now. We have a storyboarding one. So schools can choose which tour. We have, I think, like 7 of them, 7 or 8, that people can choose, schools can choose from. And then usually in better times, we have school kids throughout the museum until about noon every day. So.
Okay, wow. So yeah, so you guys see
Yeah.
school, and I know that you know, California is not fully opening up, and even schools here in New York, even with some cases declining, you know, kids are not going back to school full time yet. Are you guys kind of coming up with a plan to kind of reach those students? Are you guys going to reach out to schools, or maybe, I don't know if you would know that or not, but yeah, just
Yeah.
a way to reach them.
I'm not on that team, so I'm not entirely sure what their plan is for the year. I know we do have these like virtual offerings that we do, so I'm sure that's in the lineup. But yeah, I can't really speak to it. Haven't been too involved with that team.
Yeah, yeah. So have you received, I guess, feedback on the app, or maybe just the general app, but also maybe on like those certain components in terms of like the accessibility? The one thing you had mentioned about the ASL tour that I think, the ASL tour, and also like mainly the audio described, is people don't necessarily think like it doesn't just describe the works, it also describes like as you're walking through the museum, you know, what barriers could you find, what obstacles might be there, which is obviously great in terms of leading someone through. Have you gotten feedback on that specifically?
So unfortunately, we didn't release the app before the pandemic and the shutdown. So we actually just released the app maybe about 2 months. It was probably in April or May we released it. So we actually haven't used the app while the museum has been open, sadly. In some ways, it worked out perfectly because the app is such a good resource for people who can't get to the museum and whatnot. But we haven't been able to test it with people actually in the museum yet, sadly. So yeah, I'm excited for us to reopen so that we can get feedback like that. We definitely want to bring in we work with a group called Lighthouse for the Blind that we're hoping we can bring in to test it. We'd really love to get their feedback on it, and just see if make sure it's working well, and make sure it's as accessible as we want it to be for everyone.
Yeah, well, when you get their feedback, give us that feedback so that we know if we need to make adjustments. The other question I had, so you guys, I'm assuming do group tours as well. I mean, we've seen a lot of museums having conversations about just using the app as like the main guide right now, maybe even not bringing back like docents immediately. Are you guys having kind of like similar conversations internally?
As far as just using the app as a guide, we haven't really, we're still, because we haven't reopened it all yet, we're not really sure in what capacity we're going to be reopening, as far as like if we can do tours, how many people are going to be in the museum all at once. But it's definitely something that we hope we can use a lot for that reason, especially because a lot of our galleries include like headphones that in better times everyone uses. So we're actually getting rid of all of those machines, or for right now, we're getting rid of all the headphones. So you can't listen to those devices as you walk through the galleries, and they're a huge part of the galleries. It's where you hear a lot of Walt's voice, or interviews with his staff, or interviews with his family. So we're actually going to be incorporating that onto the app, so that you can still experience that without having to share headphones with the public. You can use your own phone and your own headphones, and you're not losing that experience.
Yeah, that was my other question, is kind of what you guys are thinking with the app moving forward in terms of adding stuff. We've been hearing a lot of like right now, like the shared devices, eventually they'll probably come back, but right now like minimal, like, multi-touch surfaces is best. So yeah, that's really interesting that you guys are now already thinking like that stuff has to go for right now. So until we bring it back, let's put that on the app. That's what we normally always tell people, is like, if you're looking for any sort of information to share, if you feel like you can't share it safely right now, figure out how to put it in the app. Yeah. One other question. So someone asked, you mentioned working with an access specialist. Can you provide their name and contact information?
For the app, we worked with Stacia at Q Media, as far as building the audio guide, or the Audiodescribed tour. On staff, we used to have an accessibility coordinator, and they're no longer with the museum, unfortunately. But for the first year or so that we were building the app, we did have someone on staff that we were working with.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you guys really, it goes kind of above and beyond what you would imagine is kind of that normal accessibility features. It goes beyond just languages, and you guys can tell that it's really, really aimed at including everyone and anyone. And yeah, I mean, it's just such a great app, and the information is fantastic. And again, like I tell people all the time, if you have time to just look through the app, you can go download it in Apple and Google Play. All you have to do is search the Walt Disney Family Museum, and it will come right up. So Vanessa asked, moving forward, do you have a plan on how you are dealing with the content update, especially for like the ASL tour? So I guess just adding like the information that you are adding, I guess probably just like updating that content, how you plan to keep that updated moving forward.
As far as we're still kind of trying to work on with adding the new audio from the headphone machines and whatnot. We're working on ways to hopefully make that more accessible, because as of right now, we don't have it transcribed. So we want to make sure we get it transcribed, and incorporate that as well. I'm not sure if that answered the question. As far as was it as far as the content update, as far as
like updating that content, for example, with like the ASL tour and things like that? So just kind of probably like that process of keeping that updated as you add stuff.
Yeah. With the ASL tour, I don't think we have plans to change that unless we get feedback that something's wrong or whatnot. So I'm not sure if we will incorporate the ASL with the added audio, just because it's a long process, and I'm hoping it won't be that long that we'll have to have the machines out of commission, but we'll see.
Yeah. Have you heard of anyone using the app like remotely, like at home at all?
We definitely, we sent it out to like our whole mailing list. So I'm hoping people are using it at home. We're actually working on a survey to send out right now to our members to see if they've been using it, how they've been using it, what they think of it. So we haven't sent it out yet. So unfortunately, I don't have that feedback, but we are hoping that people are using it to feel more connected to the museum while they're stuck away, or like I said, people that have never been able to visit the museum, that they can now experience it virtually, which is something that we couldn't have done before the pandemic.
Yeah, I've never even been to California, but I've been looking through it, and the amount of times I've opened up the app and screenshotted it and used it for marketing purposes, or even just kind of looked through it myself, I already feel like I know the museum. Like I feel like
Oh,
I've been there multiple times, so I,
awesome.
I could probably recite all of the history. So no, I mean, I really like it, but it is also useful to kind of get both feedback. I know you had said like you guys didn't launch it prior to COVID, but it is kind of interesting now. You can get the how is it used remotely feedback before you have it kind of also launched at the museum. So I guess also the good news would also be if that survey like turns up anything else you want to add before people come, that would be really helpful too. So yeah,
Definitely.
I don't think I have any other questions. I don't see any other questions coming through. If anyone has any last minute questions, just put them in the Q&A or in the chat. But thank you so much for taking the time to just let me kind of pick your brain about it. It is, again, like it's such a cool app, and what you guys do in terms of accessibility, it just goes above and beyond. And you know, it's my ideal accessibility app. I kind of use this one, especially with the new builder. You know, the branding on it is fantastic. I also tell people all the time, you know, you can use your colors, you can use your own branding on our new builder. You can use it on the other ones as well, but this one you really feel like you can make it your own, and just kind of even makes it really easy to link out to like those admissions and things like that. So if anyone else has any other questions, feel free to also just kind of email your client managers. They will be more than happy to answer any other questions moving forward. And if there's anything related to the app, we can always ask Tracie and we'll get back to everyone. This one was also recorded, so I'll put it up on our YouTube channel, and so everyone can watch it later on if you're kind of looking at more of like that social story. Again, if these are accessibility features that you feel like you want to implement, please get in touch with your customer managers. You know, they know all the tips and tricks, and we also do work with some great outside people to do translations and the ASL tours and all of that. So it can be done. It can be done, you know, fairly easy if you kind of know what you want to do. Someone asked when is the new app released. So the app is in the stores right now. So it is in Apple and Google Play. So you can actually just go download it right now. All you'll have to do is search the Walt Disney Family Museum and you'll find it. And okay. Josh, I think this would be more of one for you. Has the dial-in feature for the audio tour been updated yet? I don't know. Do you mean in terms of the new builder, if that one is going to have a dial-in tour? Because that one, I think we've discussed that a little bit internally for the dial-in. But you guys, you Tracie, you guys don't have a dial-in. You just have the app.
Yeah, not that I know of.
Yeah, some of our other builders have the dial-in tours, which works really well for sometimes like the parks and the forest and other museums too. But it's not something that's on the new builder yet.
Right. So that is a feature with the on-cell builder that we are still working to move over to the new story builder. So if you do have an app on the on-cell builder and want to move it over to the story builder, story platform, and retain the phone line aspect of it, it is just something right now where you'd kind of be working out of two builders. So there'd be the story builder for the web app, and then the on-cell builder handling the phone line aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah, we're working on that. We know that the dial-in tours are also, some people only rely on those, so that is something that we're still working on with the new builder. But again, if that's something that, if you are really kind of looking at the Walt Disney Family Museum app and you're like, wow, I really like the new builder, I really like the new platform, definitely talk to your client manager, and we can kind of see what we can come up with and see if it's right for you to move over to that platform now, or maybe a little bit later. There might be one other question. Someone was asking, is it Q Media or Q? So it's Q, yeah, it's Q with a Q and then Media. And that's who had helped with some of those tours.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that's about it. Thank you so much again, Tracie. It was great talking to you. Please keep me updated on the feedback about the app and the survey. I'm really kind of excited to see what people say about it.
Great, we're so excited too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, have a good one. Bye, everyone.